I turned 22 recently, and the whole thing has got me thinking about how unfortunate my life is because, people might make fun of me and say it's pathetic. You can say that if you want. It's not like I haven't heard it before, but, I'm at the point where I don't have a job, I don't have a degree, and I'm basically not really doing a whole lot of anything with my life, you know. It's not because of laziness or anything like that. It's just because of constant stressful life events that have led me now to the point of chronic fatigue, severe burnout. I made a previous video talking about it, and simply put, I'm just exhausted. I don't really have anything going for me, and it's really insane how, held back I am. I have pretty much no contacts even in my phone, or anything like that. I have no mentors. I have barely much of a support network. I'm basically figuring it all out on my own, completely, pretty much. And that's pretty much how it's been actually my entire life. I've always had to figure out everything alone. I've always had to teach myself everything completely alone, you know, and I don't really know exactly what options to pursue anymore. Any of the dreams that I previously had, I'm not really that interested in pursuing them anymore. you know I mean, there is one that I am still interested in pursuing. Maybe I want, ever since childhood I wanted to be a pilot, and originally commercial pilot, but these days I don't really want to be a commercial pilot anymore. I want to be, a pilot that works in the public sector, law enforcement, coastal guard, air ambulance, that kind of thing, so that I can maybe be useful, so that I can know that, my miserable life can go towards something, right? But yeah, I mean, I feel like a complete loser these days. I pretty much, yeah, don't have a whole lot going for me at all. And uh yeah, I just really don't have a whole lot going for me. Most of my peers from high school, they're working prestigious internships, and they're probably going to graduate university, next month or something, or maybe at least next year. For me, I've still only completed 1 year after all this time, and I'm at the point now where I am more or less a university dropout because of severe mental health issues, severe fatigue, chronic fatigue, all of that. I try to tell myself very often that it makes sense because I'm always carrying heavier burdens compared to everybody else, so it makes sense why this is the case, but I don't know, it always feels like I'm just trying too hard to convince myself, because it just feels it does feel pathetic when you really look at it from the outside. Ideally, I should have this going for me. I should have this by now. Everybody else I knew does. And I know people are going to tell me that I shouldn't compare. Everybody's life is different. People achieve things at different times. Everybody's path is different. But I just don't understand why I can't also be somebody who has a lot going for him, who's high achieving. The thing is that I do sometimes think that I have quite a lot of potential to achieve some really big things. I do feel like I could be one of those people who is capable of multiple things at a time, and people even ask, how is he doing this and this and this all at the same time? I feel like I could actually be one of those people who accomplishes a lot. A big part of why I'm severely burnt out is because I was already carrying such heavy burdens from, past abuse, past mistreatment, etc. I was already carrying such heavier burdens, and I was trying to move too fast. I was doing everything all at once. I mentioned this story before, but in a previous video, but at one point I was so extremely disciplined. I was in school. I was going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I was, training martial arts on off days while being sore from the gym. I was training martial arts at an MMA gym while being sore from the gym already. I was learning how to drive. I was learning a new language. I was meditating every morning, outside. I was extremely disciplined. I was doing this for so long, but there's a natural order to certain things, and if you try to resist them, that's how you crash. When you're carrying a heavier burden, you have to move in accordance to that burden. But if you try to run with that weight, you fall under that weight, it crashes onto you, and it's difficult to get back up. Now I'm at the point where I cannot even do even a single one of these things, and I know it makes sense, but the thing is that the world doesn't care about you doing your best at all. The world will constantly keep asking you for things, no matter how hard you try. It'll never be good enough. And I learned the hard way after, I was even bullied by teachers. and students in all kinds of ways, mostly because I wasn't really ever good at anything, that the world doesn't really care about your best. I know people are gonna tell me that that's the point. That's what's called doing your best. But if you're in an environment where you have to perform, the world is just going to expect things from you. People are consumers by nature. If they cannot take anything from you, if you cannot give anything to them, you're not good enough. That's it. And you have to be useful to survive, pretty much. Otherwise, nobody will care about you. And especially as a man, you have to provide. You have to be strong. You have to be capable. If you don't have anything, then nobody will even look at you. And I know people will always say that, oh, it's okay, you're good enough as you are. I'm not at all. I never have been. I probably never will be. And as men, it's not that simple and easy for us. As men, we are only looked at if we can be useful, if we are strong, if we can keep everything inside. And obviously that's not healthy, but there's a difference between how things should be and how things are. In a perfect world, it would not be like this, but we don't live in a perfect world. you know if we did, I wouldn't be here recording this video right now in the first place. And yeah, I know I should have been more careful, but I know I shouldn't have overworked myself so hard. I know I should have been more patient, but it's easy for people, for all of you, to look at my situation from the outside and say, you should have done that, why didn't you do this? But if you were in my situation, you'd make all the same decisions as I did, maybe even less. You do even worse things than I did, probably, because all I ever did was try to treat people with kindness, despite people telling me left, right, and center that I'm not good enough, quite literally sometimes beating me down, etc. And the thing is that, like I said, the world doesn't actually care about you doing your best, because when the world has already decided that you and your life doesn't matter to them, nothing you do after that will ever be good enough, because you can't multiply by zero, right? And it's at a point now where if anybody even does watch any of the videos that I make of this video and they think that I'm pathetic, I'm a disappointment, I'm a this, I'm a that, if they look at my current life situation, that I'm not getting a degree, I don't have any prospects, I don't at least currently have a job, I know people are going to think that I'm pathetic. And you can think that, because at this point, you being disappointed in me doesn't mean anything. I've seen how much effort I put in, and even then it is still not good enough. I've seen how much people have still been upset with me, despite how much extreme effort I had to put in. I mentioned being bullied by teachers. That was during a time where I was dealing with the side effects of antidepressants, speaking of which, clinical depression. And after being horribly bullied at school, speaking to a detective after school every day because of a physical abuse case from a student, right? From a bully, right? And it got so bad that I wasn't going to graduate high school on time. Uh, and as a result, I had to go to a library. I'm actually parked outside that library right now. It's in a community center, actually, which is also where the gym I go to is. Uh, and I actually just came back from the gym right now, and I had to go to that library every day, despite being extremely exhausted. And I would study the entire day at that library every single day for several months, which is what caused the burnout in the first place. But even having to bike there in heavy rain and poor weather conditions, having to bike there if I could not drive, all of that. But even then, it still wasn't good enough. People would still publicly shame me if I even kind of slipped up. You could do everything right, but the second you do even one thing kind of wrong, then that's when everybody notices you. That's when everybody has to get involved. That's when everybody has to scream. All you do is just try, but you even kind of fall back a little bit, and all of a sudden, oh, you're not doing this, you don't do that. Why? How come you don't do that? All I've ever done is I'm burnt out because I tried. If you want to tell me I don't try enough, you can save it. All I did was try extremely hard, but it's never good enough. But that's the thing I realized. It's not because I did anything wrong. It's just because I was always different. And as a result, people put these labels on me, and people just saw me with those biases. And like I said, when people have already decided that you and your life doesn't matter to them, nothing you do will ever be good enough for anybody. At this point, the reason why I said I don't care about people being disappointed in me is because I know that even if I chopped off my own arms and legs, it still wouldn't be good enough for people. Not because the gesture isn't good enough, it's because it's my arm and it's my leg. And people have already decided that they don't care about me. anything I do after that isn't going to work. You can't multiply by 0. That's just how it is. But at the end of the day, I suppose that does say more about them than it does about me, right? That's what they always say. But I don't know. It is a really truly miserable situation, but there's nothing else I can really do. I just have to figure something out. Most likely I will probably at the very least have a job soon. The plan that I have currently is I'm looking after my burnout symptoms. It was so terrible that last year I was even left bedridden because of it. Now it's at least not that terrible, but I still deal with daily exhaustion all the time. But now my goal is to try to, you know, look after the burnout symptoms. Most likely I will be getting a job very soon. I contacted these people and they will most likely help me get a job, because I'm trying to get a part-time job as a security guard. I think that's manageable given my condition right now and the place in life that I'm in right now. And I have the license. The company that I did the course through to get the license, that company, I contacted them. They said that they can help me get a job, so hopefully within the upcoming weeks I'll at least have a part-time job. That's something. If I cannot really be in school regularly, I tried coming back to school many times, but it just wasn't working. It was just exhausting me too much. My best bet is to just work on just get into work right away for at least some time. I'm going to keep working on these videos, hopefully get monetized soon, get a job, do that for the foreseeable future. And then, as I said, my dream is to become a pilot, maybe go off into flight school once I get better. Of course, that I don't know when that's going to happen or how that's even going to happen. The future is extremely uncertain right now. I have to admit, I don't know if I can say I have a very bright future ahead of me, because I'm just trying to do whatever I can do. But realistically, I've come to realize that a big reason why so many people end up in disadvantageous positions isn't really because they didn't work hard or they didn't do this or they didn't do that. It's just that they were given an awful hand in life, and the burdens they were carrying are so heavy that they just got slowed down so much. And realistically, I know this is an insanely depressing thing to say, but realistically, the only real possible outcomes for a person like me is to end up, I don't know, in the psych ward, homeless, working some incredibly awful manual labor job, or retail job that they absolutely hate with every ounce of their living being, or joining the military and coming back home with all kinds of awful trauma, etc., or just I don't know, dead. Basically, these are my options, the most likely options. I can't really say I have a bright future. The pilot dream is very ambitious for a person like me, but I don't know, because the thing is, I've said this a few times in some of my comment section, but I don't want advice from anybody. I don't really want anyone's help. I've never ever had anyone's help. I've had to figure out everything all by myself. I still do, and I know what I have to do. I just have to do it. But it's just that things are always so heavy, and I'm always dealing with something. One thing happens, another thing happens. But I've even started seeing night terrors as well, because the stress is deteriorating my mind. I hear people whispering and speaking to me at night. I see silhouettes and faces of people who aren't even there, whispering from people who aren't even there. But I don't know, I'm just going to keep trying. I'm just going to see what happens. That's what I say in literally every video. I'm going to keep trying, because what else can I possibly do? Because at this point I just want to be good enough for myself, and I don't really know if I can say I even really care about being good enough for anybody else. I'm just going to exist and do whatever I have to do, and let's just see what happens. I suppose I do have a lot of time, but the world is moving very fast around us, and the concept of being young and having a lot of time is slowly becoming an outdated thing, because things are getting more and more expensive. Jobs are getting harder and harder to get. It's going to be even more difficult. But let's just see what happens. I made it this far. I kind of have to keep going. There's nothing else I can really do. And at the end of the day, any of the ways people have treated me does say more about them than it does about me. I do think that, like I said, I have a lot of potential. I even sometimes think that I could even go and write a PhD, or get a PhD, write a doctoral thesis if I even wanted to. Not that I do want to. I'm not really interested in that kind of thing, but I think I could if I really wanted to. But like I said, I think I do have a lot to give. I just have to now figure out a way to manage these burdens, and that's it. I'm going to keep trying. I hope this video could help somebody. Thanks for watching.